Did you know your average high-end car today runs on about 90 to 100 million lines of code? Just for comparison's sake, a chill F-35, you know, the thing they used to send 1,100 kilometers per hour precision guided gifted baskets to the Yemenis singing YOLO in Arabic near the Red Sea? Yes, for that 5th gen F-35, Lockheed Martin managed to write all the software in less than 25 millions of code. Let that sink in. The same species that can't figure out how to make a printer work without throwing it out of the window is now building cars that require more computing power than machines designed to break the sound barrier and rain hellfire from the sky. Do you remember when cars were just cars? Engine goes brrr, wheel goes round round, you go forward. Well, congratulations on being an ancient relic, sir, because those days are gone. In the 70s, electronics made up about 5% of the car's cost. Today, it's more than 40%. 40. Nearly half of what you're paying for isn't even a car anymore. It's a rolling iPhone with wheels that occasionally refuses to close your sunroof. But technology makes things better, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. For every genuinely useful feature, there are at least 5 electronically controlled absolute nonsense features whose only job is to break down exactly 3.5 days after your warranty expires. Very suspicious. It's almost like they planned it that way. We've gone from simple mechanical machines that any roadside mechanic could fix with basic tools and a bit of jugaad to computerized nightmares that leave professional technicians scratching their heads while the OBD scanner just shrugs and says, "Yep, something's definitely fucked, mate. Good luck figuring that out." This might be an extreme example, but in the first 2 minutes of Matt Armstrong's latest video, you can see how painfully he tries to explain the state of his Lamborghini Ruvelto, how his OBD scanner displays just one error, and how Lamborghini shamelessly asked him to pay 30,000 euros to remove that error. Car manufacturers have basically turned all of us into unpaid beta testers. Hey, how about we replace this perfectly functioning door handle with an electronic pop-out sensor that fails during mild rain? No backlash? Awesome. Consider it done. The worst part is we just keep buying them. Shame on us, but that's a different video for another day. Today, let's take a peek into this electronic hellscape to understand how we got here, why it's costing you lakhs in repairs, and why some people and some manufacturers, yes, car manufacturers, are finally saying enough of this bullshit. Let's first talk about the absolute genius of modern automotive design. Taking perfectly functional mechanical parts and replacing them with electronic versions that fail spectacularly. Exhibit A, door handles. A door handle used to be a literal metal lever. Pull it, door opens. Revolutionary, I know, but Tesla said, no. That's too reliable. Let's make it electronically retract into the car body and only come out when the computer feels like it. In 2019, a man in Florida literally died in a Tesla because after a crash, the fancy electronic door handles wouldn't present themselves. Firefighters couldn't get in and he couldn't get out. Remember this the next time someone brags about their car's sleek flush handles. Here's another gem. The average Range Rover has so many warning lights that owners often joke, if your dashboard is not lit up like a Christmas tree, something's probably broken. These luxury SUVs cost more than 1 crore and have electronic systems so interconnected that your door sensor is connected to your climate control module, which is connected to your infotainment system, which talks to your central body computer, which controls your headlights, which is why when your passenger door doesn't fully latch, your high beam stops working. And the genius mechanic solution? So, we need to replace all 5 modules because we can't tell which one is sending the corrupt signal. That'll be 2.5 lakh rupees, sir. Cash or card? And don't get me started on the touchscreens. Studies show that using a touchscreen while driving is more dangerous than driving drunk. Car companies removed physical buttons that you could feel without looking and replaced them with glass panels that force you to take your eyes off the road for 5 seconds just to turn on the fucking AC. And they call this innovation. Next time your friend shows off their giant Tesla-style touchscreen, I'm sure it wouldn't be completely illegal to casually mention that they'd be safer chugging Old Monk behind the wheel. That being said,
alcohol is bad. You shouldn't drink alcohol. And as for drugs, well, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs.
Because think about this for a second. In monsoon season, what happens when water goes into those fancy electronic systems? In the good old days, your carburetor might flood, but you could dry it out. Now, water hits one of the 10 billion sensors and your entire car goes into limp mode, which is basically your 15 lakh rupee machine saying, I've decided to stop working properly and I'll let you crawl home at 20 kilometers per hour on a 6-lane highway while everyone else zooms past you at 120 kilometers per hour. The most ridiculous part, as cars get more advanced, they're actually getting less reliable. JD Power literally publishes this data every year. The more high-tech a car is, the more problems it has. That's not me saying, that's science, bitch! So the next time you're shopping for a car and the salesman is showing off all the advanced features, just remember, it's just another thing waiting to break in the most expensive way possible. Now let's talk about money.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
Or rather, the lack of it once your car's computer decides to off itself. Remember when fixing your car meant replacing physical parts you could see? A fan belt, a spark plug, maybe a carburetor? Those days are gone, my friend. Now you get to experience the joy of paying 85,000 rupees for a new engine control module because your car won't start. That's right, a tiny circuit board smaller than your phone costs more than people's monthly salary. A basic ECU replacement in a fairly high-end car costs around 50,000 to 1 lakh, and that's before labor and programming fees. Programming fees, yes! They're literally charging you money to tell the computer to behave like a computer. And good luck trying to fix it yourself or at your trusted local mechanic, because modern cars are now designed with what I call financial DRM. Your Scorpio's body control module is electronically paired to your specific vehicle. Try to replace it with a perfectly good used part? Sorry, the dealer won't activate it. So we cannot reprogram vehicles with used parts. Translation: either you pay us 90,000 rupees for a new module or your power windows and AC will never work again. It gets better. Dead infotainment in a Fortuner? 1.2 lakh rupees. That is 9 months of rent in Tier 2 India, blown in one visit to the service center because a 30 rupees capacitor fried. Why so expensive, you ask? Because your genius car manufacturer decided that the screen should also control your climate settings, your backup camera, and your car's diagnostic systems. At this point, I'm pretty sure that the sun will run out of hydrogen before they start using separate systems that don't all fail together. This is why people are junking otherwise perfectly good cars. When the repair quote is nearly 40% of the car's current value, it makes zero sense to invest in repairs. Maybe that's exactly what the future of consumerism looks like. A repairless world where everyone always buys everything new. A decent car today has between 30 to 100 electronic control units. Each one costs between 15,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees to replace. Do the math. Your 10-year ownership cost isn't just about fuel and service anymore. It's also about whether or not you will win the lottery where one of these computers decide to stop processing their ones and zeros. And the best part is that the manufacturers act clueless. Tesla took years to admit that their memory chips were dying like flies. Jeep's evil TIPM was a litigation waiting to happen. Yet, they still keep shipping. Customers became lab rats and cars rolled out half-baked like student projects running on instant noodles. So the next time your uncle is bragging about his new ride's 64-color ambient display and gesture-controlled sunroof, just smile and ask, and how much will it cost when this fancy shit breaks? Extra points if you ask in front of all the other relatives.
All my niggas Nazis, nigga, I'm with them.
But here's the good news. People are finally saying enough of this bullshit. The rebellion has begun and it's glorious. Did you know that 90% of drivers hate touchscreens in their cars? That's not an exaggeration. It is actual research that shows 9 out of 10 people prefer physical buttons for basic functions. And car companies are finally listening. Volkswagen's head of design recently admitted, "We messed up with the all-touch controls. We will never ever make this mistake again." A car is not a phone. The most fascinating part of this rebellion? There's a new EV truck coming called the Slate truck that's deliberately going backwards. It has manual crank windows in a brand new 2024 electric vehicle. It's also got a molded plastic body with no paint, although you can wrap it if you want a color, no power seats, no fancy infotainment system, and it's designed to be easily repaired by you, not just the dealer. Slate's math is brutal. Fewer chips, cheaper build, lower price. Less to break means less warranty cost. Owners fix stuff with wrenches, not flash updates. It is the spiritual love child of a Tata Ace and a power bank. Ugly? Maybe. But it will start in the rain while the posh SUV next to it whines about corrupted firmware. Why is this revolutionary? Because they're selling a modern EV for around $20,000 US. That is 16 lakh rupees, by cutting out all of the electronic and non-electronic bullshit nobody asked for. Imagine an EV that's actually affordable because it doesn't have 50 computers trying to predict when you will fart so it can automatically adjust your seat ventilation. The CEO called huge screens Netflix on wheels for clowns, and Jeff Bezos tossed money at them. The rich guy sees profit in not bleeding customers dry. Imagine that. Even though Slate is an American brand and launching in America, this makes sense especially for India. And given enough time, someone in China or India will copy-paste their exact business model down to the exact hex code of the sofas in their showrooms. But think about why we need it here. Our roads are rough, we have monsoons that flood streets, power fluctuations that fry electronics, and a culture where we actually keep our cars for 10 plus years instead of leasing new ones every 3 years like the Americans. We need cars that don't turn into expensive paperweights when one sensor fails. Old school heroes get fan love too. Suzuki Jimny, Toyota 4Runner, even plain Jane Dacia Sandero. Real buttons, crank levers, and resale values climbing like meme stocks. Because when the apocalypse arrives, nobody cares about gesture-controlled ambient lighting. Even European safety regulators are now rewarding car makers for putting physical buttons back in cars. They literally said manufacturers are on notice, they've got to bring back buttons. Your safety is literally at risk every time you have to look down at a touchscreen to turn on your damn AC. Look, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with good technology when it makes sense. Advanced safety systems like ABS and stability control, amazing. Fuel-saving engine computers, wonderful. But a dashboard that looks like a bloody spaceship just to impress your neighbor, that's not technology. That's just showing off at the expense of your wallet and safety. Tech can save lives, sure. But do we need Siri controlling the sunroof? Do we need motorized seatbelt presenters that break on day 500? Lines were crossed, probably snorted. Enough. So the next time you're car shopping, maybe ask, can I still roll down the windows if the battery dies? Or more broadly, is there a manual alternative to whatever ass backward shit you're offering me? No? Then how much to replace this gimmick when it dies? The next words out of the salesman's mouth should be enough to get a good idea of the manufacturer's intentions with your hard-earned money. Simplicity is the new luxury. Real knobs, real reliability, real freedom. The future can be electric without being an electronic clown car. Grab a seat, crank a window, and enjoy the ride. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. And while you're here, please take a look at our other channel for more serious and in-depth content. See you in the next video.
Tonight, I wear a hat. Richard wears a hat. And James wears a hat.